Welcome back. So let's talk about temptation. We usually think of it as a straight line battle, right? Good versus evil. But what if it's not a line at all? What if, according to the Quran, it's actually a loop? A cosmic cycle where our choices don't just happen once, but echo through time itself. That's the fascinating idea we're diving into today.
Yeah, the Quran is super clear on this point. Shaytan is an enemy, period. But how does this enemy operate? The framework we're looking at suggests it's not a simple one-off battle. It's something bigger, a fundamental pattern, a repeating cycle that's woven into the cosmos, all described right there in the Quran itself. So get this, the idea is that even the smallest choice we make, that tiny little decision, is connected to the grand design of everything. It's a pretty mind-blowing concept. So today, we're going to break it down. We're going to map out this incredible cycle, starting from a single tiny whisper and zooming all the way out to the cosmic scale. All right, first up, let's start with something we can all relate to, that personal struggle, the cycle of temptation. The source material has a name for this, the Shayṭān Loop. Okay, this verse is absolutely crucial to understanding the whole thing. It draws a very clear line in the sand. Shaitan's power, it's limited. It's not a forceful command. Think of it more like a suggestion, a whisper, an invitation. He literally says, I had no authority over you. The only power he has is the power we give him when we decide to listen and respond. So how does this loop actually work? It's a 4-stage process. First, Shaitan just whispers the idea. And that's it. That's his whole part. He doesn't do anything else. Stage 2 is where the action happens, and it's carried out by jinn and humans. Now, here's the fascinating twist. The human, after hearing that whisper, makes the choice. They pull the trigger. And how do they do it? By enlisting the help of the jinn. It's like a dark mirror of how Solomon commanded the jinn, but for a corrupt purpose. And the final stage? The fire of consequence. It consumes the actors, the human and the jinn, but not the one who just planted the idea. You see how the roles are completely separate? Shaitan just puts the suggestion on the table. But the responsibility for taking that suggestion and turning it into an action, that falls 100% on us. Pulling that trigger, that's all our own choice. Okay, so that's the personal loop. Pretty intense, right? But now we're going to zoom way, way out. Because this little loop we just talked about, it's actually a miniature version of a much, much bigger cosmic cycle. So you probably think of time as a straight line, right? Past, present, future. Simple. Well, this framework says, nope, throw that idea out. It suggests time isn't a one-way street. It's more like a feedback loop, where the beginning and the end are constantly talking to each other. The best way to picture it is to think of a Mobius strip. You know, that weird, twisted loop of paper that only has one side. You can trace your finger along it and you'll go over the whole thing and end up right back where you started without ever lifting your finger. That's the idea here. Time is a journey that loops back on itself. The end of one cycle is just the seamless beginning of the next one. And the Quran itself gives us this beautiful image of wrapping the day over the night. The source material points to this, saying it's not just talking about sunsets and sunrises. It's a metaphor for how all of existence is folded, looped, and wrapped around itself. So this grand cosmic loop is actually mapped onto the 6 days of creation, but seen as a repeating cycle. Let's take a look. It all kicks off with water, the foundation of everything. Then you get light, then fire, then the different phases of creation. It builds up to guidance with the stars, and then, poof! The whole thing resets and starts over. It's a continuous process. Now, inside both of these loops, the small personal one and the giant cosmic one, there are 3 key forces at play. Think of them as the engines driving the whole story: light, water, and fire. And we're not just talking about literal fire and water here. These are symbolic. They represent huge metaphysical ideas. Light is all about truth, guidance, the spirit. Water is mercy, renewal, the potential for creation. And fire? Fire is the test. It's pride. It's Iblis. It's the challenge. So let's start with light. In this model, light is everything. It's the ultimate truth, the source of all reality. It's where we came from, and it's the destination we're all trying to get back to.
Then there's water. Water is the foundation. It's the very stuff of creation, representing mercy and life. Without water, the whole cycle couldn't even get started. It's the starting block for the test.
And that brings us to fire. Fire is the catalyst. It's the spark that gets the whole drama going. It represents the pride and arrogance of Iblis, who said, "You made me from fire." That single act of pride is what kicks off the test and sets both the personal and the cosmic loops into motion. Okay, so we've got loops and we've got these elemental forces. How does this all come together to create the rules of the game? Well, the source makes a really important distinction between two things: what our soul is and how our soul moves. Think of it like this. There's your core essence, your metaphysical state. That's the unchanging you. It just is. But then there's the narrative process, the journey. That's how your soul moves through this reality, navigating these loops of testing and returning. So you have this fixed, essential nature, but it's on a dynamic journey.
And where does our inner guidance come from? This verse talks about that moment before time when every soul testified, "Yes, you are our Lord." The source calls the memory of that moment the Ahmed light. It's like a divine spark, an internal compass, baked into our very being. It's that deep gut feeling that remembers where we came from and is always, always trying to guide us back home.
Which brings us to the big question, the ultimate why. What's the point of all this, of this huge, looping, cosmic system?
And this is so important because it completely reframes how we see our lives. It suggests that nothing is random. It's not just a chaotic mess of events. It's a journey, a purposeful one, with a very specific and hopeful destination.
The entire point, according to this framework, is purification. The whole cosmic clockwork, the tests, the loops, the mercy, it's all a grand system designed for one thing: to polish the soul so it can return to where it began. And here's the most amazing part. That return isn't just a maybe or a possibility. It's presented as a metaphysical certainty. It's a promise that's woven into the very fabric of who we are. So in the end, this loop isn't a prison. It's a path, a divinely engineered journey designed to bring us home. It always bends back towards that divine light. The choice then is to listen to the Quran, not the whisper of Shayṭān, and in doing so, save yourself from the fire.